Hi there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking, and as always, great to have you along for our weekly show where we go over all the news from around Australia and the world. We've got the road to Zerafa and Hardman. I've only got one co-host tonight, I will say. Welcome to the show, Tszyu. I think last week, mate, I think you've hit a raw spot. No Pete this week.
Well, you've got the main one, mate. Look, I mean, Pete's a great guy, and he's he's a boxing promoter. He's a boxing Houdini. He's been in the game and he's dedicated his life, and he's great for boxing. But look, mate, I think his ass is quite sore from the 4 ass kickings I've given him. Look, we've got a bit of a rivalry, him and Gowan, but sometimes in life, Lyndon, you might be neck and neck with a person, whether it be schooling or academically or in sport. And then sometimes one guy just goes leaps and bounds ahead and that bloke will never catch up. I feel like that's Peter. He'll never sort of get – he was there, but now I've just gone that further ahead. Lyndon, I'm sure you had it in the amateur days. You went to the Olympics and maybe one of your childhood mates didn't quite get past the state titles. I feel like Pete's at that sort of trying to win a state title phase, and I'm just flying around the world in my own private jet. So,
I've just got a feeling though, mate, when you start wanting to write the questions yourself, we might have an issue.
Well, mate, that's what he's been doing lately. He's been sort of whinging that much about, he's a great guy, but lately, geez, what do you want? Does he want the questions written down the day before?
I think he does.
What sort of, what do you call when you give a horse you try and do a
handicap
race? What sort of handicap does he want me to have? Does he want me? I don't know, mate. Maybe a few questions the day before might get him in the race. He's saying the questions aren't good ones, and B, I'm getting before him. Well, that's the aim, isn't it? To get him before him. So anyway,
I know,
no
mate.
more said on that.
I know. Hopefully we'll be back next week to have another crack at you, Taszyu, but we've got a lot to get through. It was actually looking like a bit of a quieter week until the last couple of days, to be honest, especially on the Aussie front. There's been a bit happening. I've got
the Tim Tszyu apparel.
Love it. Yep, I've got a bit on Tim in this segment. So
spoke to him today, mate. He's in Vegas. He goes to Minnesota on Tuesday.
Awesome.
Tuesday,
well, we'll get the full wrap from you in a second. Well, we'll get straight into it. So, with Tim, so we'll go straight to that at the moment. So obviously he took off. I think was it about a week ago? I think they left Sydney and obviously in Las Vegas now. So his USA debut.
I think it was only the start of the week.
Was it?
I think it was that long ago. Yeah.
So his USA debut, headlining Showtime Championship Boxing, by the way, March 26th in the States, 27th, I think it is here. So you spoke to him today, mate. What do you have to say?
Yeah, no, just obviously, training in Vegas with Coach Dewey and Igor, and I just asked him. I said, when do you go to Minnesota? So we'll go there the Tuesday, and obviously the fight's on the Saturday. So they'll go there, and I guess they'll acclimatise a bit because Minnesota's usually a bit colder, and they'll just get used to their surroundings, and they'll find a gym to train there, and he'll watch his weight, etc., and then he'll be ready for fight night. So, so I was just curious of what day they were going to go there. And I think they were with Floyd Sr. today. I saw on their social media, which was pretty cool. So, yeah, mate, he's good. And I messaged Nikita the other day too because I wondered why he wasn't there, but he couldn't make the trip. But, so...
Yeah, well, it's all going to happen, mate. I think it's great that he, it's probably that little bit of silver lining that's come from the other fight being cancelled, Castano and Charlo, because now he's headlining his own show. He's the name. He's not just an undercard fighter. I mean, we know he's not just an undercard fighter, but it's easy just to get forgotten when you're on the undercard, even if you're the main support. So I think it's a blessing in disguise. We were obviously looking to get over there, mate, but when the fight got cancelled, it was just a little bit harder. Minnesota, mate, this time of year, it's bloody cold. So I think I'll wait till he's in California or Vegas or something next time, I think.
Yeah, well, I could have worn my Russian military jacket, which is...
you wouldn't have got through customs,
mate. Moscow, which is too hot for Melbourne winter, but yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's going to be our main event. So check that out. You can buy it now. I think it's $59.99. I think it was. I think I checked the other day. So good value. It's on Sunday, the 27th of March, and we'll obviously have another update next week, which will be just before the fight. So, speaking of upcoming fights, Tazzy, this week, a massive one. You're obviously all over this one. Billy Dibb, Jacob NG, Saturday, March 19. How big's this one going to be?
It's going to be huge, mate. I fly out Friday morning, so I'll be there for the weigh-in. I spoke to Billy Hussein the other day, and Billy Dibb's, tapering off now and ready to rock, mate. So it's going to be good, mate. And I'll tell you now, mate, I want to thank Ange DiCarlo very much, because this was a sold-out event. They can't fit any more in, mate. And he's managed to look after me. So thanks to Angelo, because, mate, the capacity at the venue is full. So
that's
anyone
awesome,
thinking they're going there, if they haven't pre-organised it, this fight, it's sold like hotcakes. And, so, I mean, it's a great venue at the casino. It's a great fight. It's a young versus old. Can the experienced Billy Dibb pull it off, or will it be the passing of the torch? I mean, I don't know much about NG. I know he's a very good young talented fighter with a size and height advantage. But I've got to stick with my friend Billy Dibb. He's had a good training camp. Sometimes you can't beat experienced Lyndon, as you know. And
Yep.
he's got all the tricks in the book. And with a great corner like Billy Hussein there and a lot of support, look, it's going to be a great fight, but I've got to stick with my man Billy Dibb to come out with a points victory.
Yeah, well, come on, mate. When it comes to the ticket, come on. You just said, hey, VIP, Tazzy Brown here, part of the VIP
This one was
Aussie
a tough
boxing
one, mate.
scene.
This was a tough one, brother. As I said, mate. But Angelo Carlo's a very dear friend of mine, and arguably, definitely one of the best promoters in the country.
Yeah,
and
he is.
And I'm looking forward to being up there, mate. And I've got a lot of the fight I'm going for, mate. But as I said, mate, I'm so people that know me know how close I am to Billy Hussein. He's my mentor. He's like family. And to spend a bit of time with him will be very, very valuable, because, I haven't seen him since COVID, and, Hussey very well when we had Skinny on. And, so it'll be good to see him and a few of the boys, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Should be good. Now, I've got there, it's televised. Now, can you elaborate on this? It's televised on Foxtel via beIN, is it? I haven't heard of that before. Do you know how it works?
No, I'm not sure. Yeah, I only read that the other day. I'd never heard of it, but it's that and KO, or?
It's on KO, yeah, which is obviously easy to work out because it's part of the...
So that's pretty cool, though, yeah. So.
Oh, look, hey, it's unbelievable. And I just saw it the other day, and I tried to do a little bit of research on it. I'm assuming beIN televises the event, and it's broadcast on Fox. So we'll do a little bit more investigating in that. But just on the card itself, you can see here, so the main event, Billy Dibb, Jacob NG, 10 rounds for the IBF International Lightweight title and the WBO Oriental Lightweight title. Couple of good fights on the undercard. Tassie, Vegas Larfield, very, very good young prospect, taking on Luke Martin. And you can see all these are title fights, by the way. 10 rounds for the Australian and Australasian featherweight title. Justin Frost and Blake Minto for the IBF Oceania Super Lightweight title. That'll be a ripper. This one will be awesome as well. Tyson Best, Ty Telford. That will be a guaranteed war. That's for the Australasian welterweight title. Casey Caswell, Patrick, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, and Anaya, 8 rounds Australasian cruiserweight title. And to top it off, Ricky Silva versus Austin Akuso for the Queensland cruiserweight title. So we finally got through that, but what a ripper card.
Look, it's going to be awesome, mate, and all the great venues at the casino. So, mate, I'll be there for the weigh-in, and I'll be there for the day of the fight, and I'll fly back early Sunday. But
awesome. Really
looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah, no, it should be awesome. So check out your Foxtel guides or KO, whatever it might be, this Saturday night at the Star Casino on the Gold Coast. Another fight coming up. This one sort of slipped under the radar a little bit, Tassie. It's on actually next Wednesday. Barry Hall, Sonny Bill Williams. I must admit, I almost forgot it was on. There's been little to no coverage whatsoever since it was first announced.
Yeah, a bit weird. I mean, look, I'm sure the live tickets will be pretty big. Being Sonny Williams is a rock star in Sydney.
Yep.
They'll have a lot of the ex Bulldogs and a lot of the Lebanese Islamic community will be there supporting him. Barry Hall's not as big, obviously, in Sydney, but Danny Green being involved and plus Mundine's involved with his son. So I think the tickets will be fine.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view with Stan. I'm not really sure how that goes, but and also, and I got a mate who I helped out today, Jason Medawa. He's fighting Terry Nichols.
Terry
He's
Nichols.
a very good so he's a good fighter.
Yeah.
So I've done a bit of work with me and Bo, done a bit of work with him today. Got a very tough fight against the big puncher, Terry Nicholson. But, so he's on the undercard and should be interesting, mate. Yeah, I actually don't know. Don't know if I'm even going to watch it, to be honest with you. I'm getting it. I haven't planned on it. I don't know if I will or not. But, I mean, if I do, it's to watch Anthony Mundine's son and my friend Jason. But I haven't thought about getting it yet.
Yeah, well, I must have. Look, it's not a bad ploy by Stan when you think about it, because they're looking to get into it. They obviously want subscriptions to their normal service. So if you get on, I'm assuming they want you to sign up and you might get a discount or whatever it might be, the free trial and all that sort of stuff. So it's not a bad idea for them to get subscribers. But I'm a little bit with you, mate. I'm not quite sure whether to get it or not. The undercard actually looks pretty good. I mean, your mate Paul Fleming, Jackson John England, that's going to be a ripper. That's 10 rounds.
Oh, I forgot about
Flemo. WBC.
I'll probably have to get it now then.
WBC Asia, IBF Pan Pacific, and IBO Intercontinental Super Featherweight titles. If you can spit that out, it's a bit of a mouthful. Bilal Akaway is making his return as well. He's fighting Sebastian Singh over 6 rounds at cruiserweight, mind you. He's gone from super middleweight to cruiserweight. So what's that, 90 kilos? It's only 13 or 14 kilos between friends. I suppose Jade Mitchell's doing a similar thing. As you said, Terry Nicholas and Jason Medawa love the fact that Anthony Mundine's son Raheem is making his debut. He hasn't actually got an opponent listed, but I'm assuming he's got someone ready to go. The one fight, though, Willis Meehan up against a guy you know pretty well, Uriah Afamasaga. I must admit, that's a little bit concerning to me. He's tough. Afamasaga, obviously he was on your card against Plugger Joseph, but coming up at heavyweight against Willis Meehan, I'm a little bit worried about it, I've got to say.
He's been on 3 of my shows.
Has he?
Uriah.
I mean, he's tough, but Willis Meehan is a monster.
Really good ex-amateur. Can punch himself. But yeah, look, I mean, really he's a cruiserweight at best. Fighting a big, strong guy like me, and it's a tough one.
And he can punch. Willis Meehan is an absolute beast. So, look, hopefully I'm wrong, and I'm assuming Willis Meehan's going to be pretty hard to match up. So, credit to Afamasaga for getting in there. But I
want to say too, Willis is with my my family friends too, the Body Punch Billy Hussein Gym as well. So he's with them now. So he needs that kind of structure and discipline because he's a very talented guy. I think he lacked a bit in discipline, but he's with them guys. He's on the money now, and I wish him all the best. I wish my old mate Uriah the best as well, and hopefully they both come out of it healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So March 23, so that's next Wednesday night. It's on Stan pay-per-view. So
it has crept up. It has.
It has. So it should be a ripper fight, very evenly matched fight. So the stablemates of Barry Hall are at it. They go by the name of Jason and Andrew Maloney are back in the news, fighting on April 9th in Costa Mesa, California. So that's, as I said, in California. Jason will fight a 10-rounder, Andrew an 8-rounder. No opponents yet, but it's on the undercard. I think Michaela Mayer is the main event. She's fighting Jennifer Han.
Who's that? Why are they on the undercard?
I don't know. I've got a feeling the boys just want to keep busy fight. Top Rank could probably need to meet obligations as far as fights as well, I would probably think. So I don't know. I haven't spoken to the twins. We'll get them on before they go. But I've got a feeling that it would be to.
I don't know who the woman is, but I think Jason and Andrew, even though they're Australian, are both main event fighters. But look, as long as they're fighting, they keep them busy. And hopefully this fight for both, the next one is a world title for both of them.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. Look, again, I haven't spoke to the guys, but I've just got a feeling Jason especially would be, he'd be getting really itchy knuckles at the moment. He hasn't fought for, I think it was maybe August or something last year. So he's been out a while since the Greer fight. He'd be looking to get back in there. Andy would want to just to keep busy fight. And maybe there'll be something coming mid-year for them that they just want to, as I said, keep busy. So, but yeah, it should be. We better give Andy a bit of a chance to get out the guns there as well. There's Andrew and Maloney.
Bloody oath, 100%.
Yeah, but look, great guys. Yeah, look, we always talk about the Maloney boys. I've had them on a few times, of course, and I just think they're destined to do great things. These guys, and looking forward to that as well. Speaking of someone that's destined for great things, Tazzy, we've neglected to mention him in the last couple of episodes. Liam Parrot moves to number 1 in the WBO, and a fight with Teofimo Lopez could be a possibility. So that's just come out of nowhere. And the reason I probably got to apologise to Liam, because I think it was on last week's episode we discussed that we might have X amount of world champions by the end of the year, but you throw this guy in there, we didn't mention him, we could have up to 8 possible world champions by the end of the year. Well, 8 Aussies in world title fights by then. So it's just an amazing stat, isn't it? This guy could fight Teofimo Lopez.
That's awesome, mate. Well deserved. He got a good win on the on that Thriller card on the, I think it was the Jake, or one of the Paul brothers, Jake Paul, and Jake Paul. And mate, as I said, he's brought up by Alfie and Angela Carlo well. He's paid his dues. He's been in America for a while now, sparring the likes of Shakur Stevenson and everyone. So, mate, he's there at number 1. I'm really happy, and that'd be good to fight, Lopez, because, I mean, if what's his name, Taylor, vacates any of the belts, it's going to be a free-for-all. So, and, I mean, to fight someone like Lopez who's still got a name, it's a great opportunity for him. So either or, whoever he does fight, he's a number 1 ranked challenger. That's awesome. Yeah,
no, it is, and it's great timing as well to be the number 1 challenger, because obviously Taylor's
not going to defend it against.
No, he's looking to go to welterweight, so he doesn't have to do what. I mean, George was lucky that he ended up being the opponent that Lopez chose when he was undisputed.
Lopez could have easily vacated.
Yeah. But I mean, what I'm saying is that Lopez was undisputed champion, so he had a pick of maybe a lot of different belts he could probably defend and opponents. George obviously got the the call up. Where in this instance, Taylor moves up to welterweight, and Parrot's suddenly number 1 challenger, automatic world title shot. So it's
well, with George, I mean, the IBF are the best out of all the bodies. They really abide by their number 1 mandatory, more than any of them.
Yeah.
The IBF, if you don't play ball, they will strip you. They don't bring in a interim like a WBC silver gold or a WBA interim.
Just invents a title.
The IBF are the best, mate. So they're very tight, very strict with their mandatory. So George was with the IBF, and that's why he got the shot with Lopez. Then it happened to be for all the belts because he had all the belts.
Yep.
Of course, you got to pay the sanction and fees. So that was a bonus, and lucky but too that Lopez, in hindsight, I bet he wish he did now, didn't vacate.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I mean, really, it was good that he did fight his number 1 challenger, but he didn't really have to. But I think the only reason he did was the money was there from Thriller, even though it was bullshit. But he wasn't getting money like that fighting anyone else or going up a division. But if he went up to fight Josh Taylor, that would have been the plan. But I guess he was a bit duped by the Thriller. But very lucky, because usually with that status, they usually move on and you fight for a vacant title, like Liam will probably most likely fight for.
Yeah.
I'm happy Lopez did, for George's sake and Australia's sake. But yeah, you look at it like that, you think, geez, he really should have vacated and left his belt.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one anyway. So, yeah, great timing for Liam Parrot. And again, apologies to him for not including him in our list of possible world title challenges this year. So, let's get on to, or just speaking of world title fights, obviously Jai Pataia fights Maris Briedis on May 11. They had a press conference this week for Justis Huni. He will fight Kiwi Kiki Lutuli. I think that's how I pronounce it. So that'll be the main support on May 11. So that should be a pretty good one, Tazzy. We'll bring up the whole card here. So obviously Briedis and Pataia is the main event for the IBF World Cruiserweight title. Huni and Lutuli will be the main support. But look at the undercard. Faris, and we need Peter Maniatis here, by the way, because they're all his boys. Faris Chevalier and Connor Wallace, which will be an absolute ripper. 10 rounds at light heavyweight. Yeah. Joel Camilleri, our man, Kama KO, with a rematch against Cohen Mazudia. And that's at 10 rounds at super welterweight. And Taylor Robinson versus Jocelyn Fernandez at 10 rounds at super flyweight. You can see their tickets on sale now. May 11th at the Gold Coast Convention Centre. Should be good, Tassie. I looked at that and I had a bit of a look into the opponents today. And I must say, Taylor Robinson's opponent looked the good. She's 11-1. Which looked pretty good. Unfortunately, the record, I probably shouldn't say this because I'll get in trouble, but the record of the 11 opponents combined was 3 wins and 74 losses. So, be interesting to see.
Where's she from?
She's from Venezuela. So, interesting to see how. Look, the record looks great, 11-1. She got knocked out, I think, in the loss, and as I said, the other 11 combined had 3 wins and 74 losses.
She might be a Venezuelan window cleaner.
You never know. But, hey, look, I understand in this day and age we're in, it's hard with the opponents. And interesting they're bringing one from Venezuela, though, Tassie. Surely there's a super flyweight in the vicinity. I mean, Venezuela's on the other side of the world, in South America. So, but anyway.
Very.
Not cheap with airfares from Venezuela at this time of year, I wouldn't have thought either.
Well, mate, I think the undercard should be called the Peter Maniatis show because it's got 2 of his stars on there and they're both good fights, mate. Kamikaze looking for revenge against Mazudia.
Good fight, yep.
And the Wallace and bloody Faris fight, mate, that's a 50-50. So, well done to Peter Maniatis for getting him on them shows and,
Yeah, so you can see again there, I think, Camilleri, I think, will be a totally different proposition this time. I think the last time he fought Mazudia, I thought he looked very lethargic, almost just went through the motions, almost expecting to get the win, which can happen. And he got caught. Not caught literally, but he got caught out and lost a decision. Chevalier and Wallace, that will be an absolute ripper fight. So France versus Ireland, Tassie. So it should be a good one. That's it for the Aussie news. Let's get into the world news now. And I must say, apart from one big fight last weekend, not a lot has happened this week. But how could you go past this? I'm not sure whether you watched it. I'm pretty sure everyone did. But Leigh Wood, 12th round knockout of Michael Conlan. Have you ever seen a more exciting and dramatic fight in the last 10 years? I don't think I have.
Unbelievable, mate. Conlan's been destined to be a world champion since the amateur days, Olympian, gold medalist at the World Championships, controversy at the Olympics. But with Top Rank, they brought him along, and this was meant to be his coming out party. But Leigh Wood didn't see the script, dropped early. Conlan landed some great cleaner shots during the fight, but Wood wouldn't go anywhere. And to come out and knock him out like that, with unbelievable. And I'm just happy that Conlan's okay. When I seen the follow up that they met up and they've got a photo together, and he said that he's all clear. Very relieved, because I'd like to see Conlan get a rematch or get another shot one day, because he is destined for greatness. But Wood, mate, what a heart and he's probably the most underrated guy in the division. He beat the Chinese guy for the title. Unbelievable. This is what heart's all about. And this, I guess, is what I sort of say. I don't know. You got to know your fighter. And I told one of my fighters tonight, I said, a true coach that knows his fighter, that has a long history and relationship with his fighter, he knows when his fighter's had enough, or he knows what his fighter can endure. Now, we're all about the safety of the sport, and if we see our fighter copping to the bit, it's duty of care to look after your fighter throwing the towel. But the old style of boxing, sometimes you just got to give your fighter benefit of the doubt that he can weather the storm like a Jake LaMotta or someone and come back and do this. And you're never out till it's over. So,
because he was in all sorts of trouble, wasn't he? He got dropped in the first round or second round? I think it was the first or second. And took some, like, he just was almost like he was just looking to eat those big overhand lefts. He just kept taking them. But I think after 6 rounds, I thought Conlan was well in front, and then slowly but surely Wood just ground him back. And surprisingly, after 11 rounds, I think Conlan was up, I think, by 1 point on all the scorecards. So, and then he got knocked down early in the 12th, I think it was. No, did he get knocked down early? No, he just obviously got knocked out. But
he got dropped the round before
the 11th. That's right.
Yeah.
So so it was a point in it. So it was all on the line in the last round, and they both came out and fought that way. But unfortunately, Michael Conlan, he was just totally gassed, and it had enough. And Leigh Wood, just the heart of the champion, he just kept hanging in there and hanging in there and hanging in there. And that's what you got to love about pro boxing, mate. It's none of the pity pat for 3 rounds you get in the amateurs. Sometimes it's a whole different sport with the endurance and heart and conditioning. It was, and this was proof of that.
And as I said, knowing your fighter, knowing what he can endure. I mean, some of these guys, I'm all about the fighter safety. I'm an ex-fighter myself, but I'd never want my corner to throw the towel in. I just wouldn't. I'd throw, go on your shield. I mean, as long as you know your fighter can take it, because you've got to be able to allow your fighter to come back and possibly get a stoppage win. You have to allow that.
Yeah, which is obviously what happened here. So, yeah, but were you surprised, Tazzy, like with Conlan? I mean, I was surprised that he had the lead. He had a very, very big lead after 6 or 7 rounds, and I don't know whether he couldn't or wouldn't sort of alter his game plan a little bit when Wood started to come on a little bit. He didn't take a round off. He didn't stand back. He didn't box. He didn't regroup. He kept at the same pace, and I just think in the end, it sort of come back to bite him because he was literally just punched out and exhausted by the 12th round. I just think if he had taken a round or 2 off just to compose himself, it might have been a different story because he was in front.
Yeah, look, I'm not just saying it because he lost. But from the Rio Olympics, where him and Shakur Stevenson were 2 of the big names that turned pro, Conlan wasn't one for mine. Impressed me on the way up. Shakur Stevenson did from day one. And I know Conlan was with Top Rank, and I always knew, being Irish as well, because the whole country gets behind you, I sort of always knew he'd get a shot. And it depends on the champion whether he wins or not. I've never been a massive fan of Conlan being the next superstar. I was with Shakur Stevenson, though.
Yeah.
So he's never really impressed me, even early on. I mean, the top rank's the best at bringing on fighters, especially from the Olympics, up through the pros. So he never really impressed me that much. With Shakur Stevenson, I went, wow, from day one. So it didn't surprise me he lost the fight. I know, but I mean, yeah, so he's never won. I hope he comes back and gets another shot and does become champion. But from day one, he's never been one where I've gone, wow, this guy's going to be the next Olympian superstar world champion. Yeah,
look, I know, obviously, it's the amateurs, not professionals, of course, but I know that Jason Maloney beat him in the amateurs, which was a good effort by Jason. But I actually, when we were in America back in 2017, when I went over there with Jason and Andy, Jason actually sparred Conlan at the Legends gym over there, and I thought handled him pretty easily between me and you. And I remember thinking, I don't really know what all the fuss is about with this guy.
Between me and you and all our viewers tonight.
Yeah.
between me and you and all the viewers we've got.
Yeah. Is that what? And the viewers out there. But I remember just watching and I thought, I know sparring's not fighting. Obviously, it means nothing. But I remember with the way that Jason handled him that day. And I thought, well, not just that day, they sparred a couple of times, but I thought, yeah, I'm just not quite sure what all the fuss is about. But again, I understand it's sparring.
Like he won an amateur world title, which is a gold medal, which they don't give those away as you know them. But as a pro, it just hasn't done it for me.
Yeah. But, after the fight, as you said, they did get together. Here's the video of them the next morning. It was really great to see that this, because it was pretty spiteful in the lead up to it, and then obviously what happened during the fight itself with Conlan. It didn't look good there for a few minutes, but that's what you want to see, and this is what makes boxing the greatest sport in the world.
Can't agree with you more, Lyndon. First of all, I was happy that I heard he was okay, because he got his whole life ahead and his career, and just to see, the mutual respect, which we've all got. Very rare do you see fighters, no matter the build-up of fights, usually hug it out and shake hands, and that's what I obviously love.
Yeah,
dearly about the sport as well.
Yeah, and look, it happens every big fight. They get in each other's face and all that sort of stuff. But I know most of it's for the fans. Everything else, it's really.
I mean, Lyndon, even when I kicked Peter's ass on the quiz, I still, want to shake his hand and give him a hug.
I don't think he wanted to shake your hand.
Yeah, true. Yeah. the Greeks, mate. Greeks are bad sports.
All right, a couple more things on the world front. This one caught my eye as well. Virgil Ortiz Jr. is withdrawn from this weekend's fight with Michael.
Yeah, just seen that.
Yeah, McKinson. There's a lot of rumours getting around that it was due to low ticket sales. No, they've said that he's crook, but there are rumours that the ticket sales were shocking. There was no interest in it whatsoever from the media or the fans. Apparently, you can see the picture there of the press conference. Apparently, it was only Oscar and Virgil and about 2 reporters, and that was about it. A far cry from some of the big events that Golden Boy have put on over the years. So, look, it is a business at the end of the day. But, yeah, they've come out and said that he's crook officially. So, I just thought it was a bit surprising that... that it's happened only a few days out from the show.
Yeah, Virgil Ortiz is a great fighter. He's, I think he'll be a world champion one day. I mean, you got Crawford and Spencer at the moment, but I mean, and Ugas, but Ortiz and Innes, Boots Innes, they're the two future stars, and I don't know, mate. I don't know if there's much shine with Golden Boy anymore. I love Oscar. I know you do too. I don't know if there's much shine with the promotion company anymore, and Ryan Garcia as well and all that. But I mean, Ortiz, I think, should have stayed with Canelo's team. I think he was with Robert Garcia, and I think he went down to suss out Canelo's team. And I don't know if Ortiz's dad, I don't know much about him. I hope he's not a Lopez's dad, because I'm a bit worried when fathers take the full reins of their sons, and Floyd never worked out. Floyd didn't work out with Floyd Senior, until later on. We know Lopez's dad's an absolute idiot. We know Danny Garcia's dad's an absolute idiot. And I think Guerrera's dad was a bit of an idiot.
He was.
I hope Ortiz's dad, he seems a bit controlling. I think he should have went with it to spread Racino, even to spar Canelo regularly would have been good. He didn't do that. He went with old mate, or I think Manny, whatever his name is, Rubus or Rebus or whatever. And now to see this fall apart, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And you're right about Golden Boy. I mean, geez, when they first were formed, they just had all the big fighters, and obviously since they've lost the cash cow in Canelo, there's not really much happening with Golden Boy. They've been overtaken by
Canelo. I think. Well, we know Mike's man, Richard Schaefer, Pro Bellum.
Yeah.
He was the brains behind it, or De La Hoya was the face, and people would sign with the company because of De La Hoya. I would have as well, because he was just my hero. And they appealed to a lot of Latin American fighters because of Oscar. Not so many Black American fighters, a lot of Latinos, and then Golden Boy was doing great when they promoted Mayweather fights before Mayweather got his promoter's license with Al Heyman. So, but I think the wheels fell off a bit. The wheels fell off when I think Oscar's extracurricular activities.
Yeah. And losing
then they lost
Schaefer
Richard
was massive.
Schaefer. But yeah, so. But I love Oscar. You know, I hope this Garcia comes and fights again both so I can meet Oscar. Because, you know, I'll always remember the golden boy, the 92 Olympic gold medalist and the future 5 or 6 division world champion.
Yeah, no, for sure, mate. Well, one more thing on the world front. You can see that there. The Showtime boxing summer schedule has been released. That's the USA spring/summer schedule. You can see Tim Tszyu and Terrell Gorshav. I still can't get that right. Is the first one. Couple that stick out there though, mate. April 16, Errol Spence, Dennis Ugas looks like a ripper. May 14, Jamal Charlo, Brian Castano. The second fight, I really like the May 21st one with Benavidez and Lemieux. He can punch David Lemieux, so I reckon that'll be a good one. Davis and Ramiro should be okay. Not so impressed with Charlo Solecki. But yeah, so it's good to see that Tim's going to start the year off for Showtime boxing.
Yeah, no, I couldn't be any happier for Tim. You know, he kept it going during COVID. He had 4 fights. You know, got some big wins, kept Australian boxing going with no limits, obviously. You know, you dickheads that sit on the couch and eat burger rings and watches the fights, they all, he wouldn't go to America and all this stuff. Well, guess what, you spastics? He's in America.
Yep, headlining.
He's one fight, fighting a former Olympian who's fought the likes of Trout and Lara. Very good fighter, dangerous opponent, and if he wins, he fights a world title. So, you know, that'll shut up the Facebook couch potatoes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that's it for the Aussie and world news. We're going to have another segment this week of, here we go, the road to Zerafa versus Hardman. Now, I reckon, Tazzy, we're about to get serious about things now. What'll be 5 weeks out? I think a lot of the games are done, all the social media antics. The press conference was obviously last week, and we went over that. What I want to do this week, though, is go over the key points, just some things to consider. We'll obviously go over a different sort of topic each week, but I just want to get your thoughts on a bit of the head-to-head between them in these areas. We'll start with the experience. Now, on paper, it really looks like Michael Zerafa has got Hardman covered, but I did a bit of a dig into the records today, and apart from the fights that Zerafa has lost, so he obviously lost to what was his name? Magomedev, I think he was, in Russia back in 2014. He obviously knocked out by Peter Quillen, lost a 12-round decision to Cal Brook. All those 3 fights were overseas, obviously, and then he lost to Jeff Horn in Brisbane. So if you take those fights out of it, and they were all shutout losses. Okay, so all those, apart from the Jeff Horn one, those other 3 fights were shutout losses. So I think we just put those aside a bit. Still experienced, but they weren't like they were close losses. Apart from that, I think Hardman almost matches up on the domestic front pretty well. I mean, I went through his Lucas Miller, Matt Sheehan, Lepetti that he all knocked out in the first round in his first 3 fights. But Tay Singh, solid performer. Mark Lucas, Robert Berridge, probably a bit jaded, of course, and Emmanuel Carlos. So he's only had 12 fights, but I think it belies, you know, the type of opponents that they've thrown at him to get to those 12 fights.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to knock Harmon's, you know, resume at all. He's fought everyone in front of him. But, I mean, you know, Michael did, you know, stop Jeff Horn.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, you know, that's the biggest name, and he's obviously the greatest moment of his career, you know, I'm guessing. You know, then the rematch almost had him out of there, but, you know, it was still a great fight, a classic of Australian boxing. Yeah, look, and I know the other ones we talk about were losses, but I don't know, but still being in there with the quality of a lately I'm forgetting Kel Brook. Being in there with the caliber of him in England, and he had a few good moments. So he did Zarapha. He might have, you know. I think, and I mean, I know. I mean, you can't judge someone. But like sometimes it's better, Lyndon, to judge someone off their losses than it is their victories.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying, and by no means am I saying that Hardman's up to Zerafa as far as experience goes. That's a given that Michael Zerafa's got more experience. But what I'm sort of saying is that the three or the four losses that he had, they were shutouts. He was knocked out in one, shut out in the other two. I know he won a couple of rounds, but they were very, very lopsided decisions for Kell Brook and the Russian. Knocked out obviously by Quillen, and those first two losses were when he was pretty much a boxing baby. He was in his early 20s, so I think again.
Yeah.
But if you take out the fights leading up to those fights, the Aussie part of it, very, very ordinary. Well, I shouldn't say very ordinary competition, but nowhere near the caliber that Hardman's fought domestically. But those two Jeff Horn's fights, I think, obviously the ones that tip him over, because I think he's really unlucky not to. Oh, hang on, what have I done there? Hang on. Sorry, I'll get myself back on track here, guys. Sorry. But very, very unlucky not to have two wins over Jeff Horn, because I was at that fight in Queensland. Everyone saw it, of course. I think Jeff was very, very lucky that the referee stopped it when he did to check the cut, because I think he was gone. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that on paper, you look at it that Zarapha would have so much more experience, but I think a lot of it's, apart from those four major fights that he had, the opposition wasn't great, whereas for Hardman, I think even though he's only had 12 fights, they've crammed a lot of different experienced types of guys, different types of fighters in there, and I think his 12 fights is actually a little bit misleading to how experienced he might be. And I think 12 fights I would more relate to about 17 to 18 fights in experience for the average guy, I think, because they've chucked him in with some good guys very early in his career.
Oh, 100%, mate. Look, I was at a few of those. Miller, Matt Sheens, I think a Kiwi guy on the Gallon.
Yeah, Puano Lopetti.
Undercard, mate. Yeah, look, he just got rid of those guys, and he's had to come up a little bit, learn to sort of box a bit more in recent times, not just rely on his power. The best thing Hardman's got going for him is he's been active.
Yeah. And
you can't beat an active fighter. I mean, he's active. And that's one of the biggest things you can have. One of the biggest advantages a fighter can have. He hasn't got Zerafa's experience or probably boxing IQ, but yeah, he's got the power, and he's been active.
Yeah.
Those 4 fights last year was a massive thing, mate. So look,
Zerafa hasn't really been tested since the Jeff Horn fight, which is over 2 years ago now, and he's had that first round knockout of Chock, which you may as well just put a line through that. It wasn't even worthy, the workout of a shadow boxing session really, and then obviously the Fijian, let's just say, wasn't exactly world class. But yeah, so it's interesting.
I prefer to watch you doing your demonstrations in your home gym, Lyndon.
Well, I've put a can on them for a while because they weren't very popular. But anyway,
I've missed them.
All right, let's go to power, mate. This is probably an area where, again, on paper you would say that Isaac Hardman has a major advantage here, but you look at Michael Zerafa, he's had a lot of clean knockouts as well. So I'm going to give the edge to Hardman, but I think don't sleep on, excuse the pun, on Zerafa's power. What do you think?
Yeah, you can't sleep on power. I mean, a lot of Zerafa's power sort of is due to his timing. I mean, he's got a nice, good left jab, and he'll walk you on the shots, and and as you know, when the timing's right, you can catch a guy, Hardman obviously is known as a one-shot KO artist, his right hand. I probably like to see the left hook come by a bit too sometimes, not just the 1-2. What's worked for him so far has worked for him. The win over Emmanuel Carlos was impressive because I rate Carlos.
Yeah.
He was undefeated, very good boxer. That was a really impressive win, and he'd done it. He got hit a few times, but he'd done it really in good fashion. But yeah, Zerafa's got decent power, and it's not just about the fights Zerafa's had too. Zerafa's done quite a lot of training camps in America.
Yeah.
At Wildcard. I don't know if Hardman's been over there yet to the States, but a lot of those training camps and the sparring he got over there was, Zerafa got. It can only help you with the experience. You know what I mean?
That's a really good point, mate. Because I didn't actually think of that in the experience department. Because
he's had a fair few camps over there.
Yeah.
With Freddie Roach and a good mate of mine, Ernie, ex world champion contender.
Yeah.
Ernie's they've had a fair few camps with him over there. Yeah.
Well, just a quick one on speed. I would think that Zarapha holds the advantage on in the speed department. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's got the quicker hands.
Yeah, I think so. Hardman, and he's probably going to need, as you said before, more than just that right hand to load up, because Zarafa's, with that experience, is going to see it coming and be ready for it.
You'll have to get past Zarafa's jab and movement probably early.
Yep.
So you'll have to sort of probably work on his entries, work on his attacks, and probably maybe even try to go to the body first. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about ring generalship? What I mean is that's just the overall package, the footwork, the defence, the the kit of punches. What do you think?
I think it's got to be Zerafa.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, just he's been in the game since he was a baby. I mean, some of the photos I've seen years back, he looks so young. He's paid his dues. He's fought on the club shows. He's fought on the main events now, and he's paid his dues. So I think definitely the ring generalship, and definitely.
Yeah, no, I've got to agree. And I think even though Hardman is improving, I think Zerafa. I've seen a little bit of the footage in the early days when he was with Peter Maniatis, actually, and he was a really raw kid. He looked a little bit like a baby giraffe trying to fight, legs and arms going everywhere. But
true.
But as he's gone on and got more experience, he's neat, he's cagey. So I think definitely he has the advantage in this one.
Look, he's paid his dues. He's been around that long, and he's got the experience, mate. He can't beat experience.
Yep. Stamina. I think this one's pretty even, because one thing I was going to say is that Zerafa's obviously had a lot more fights than Hardman, and gone the distance a lot more times. But Hardman has shown that in all his fights, he's actually held up pretty well. Even, as a novice, and he jumped straight into 10 rounders. I know he probably hasn't gone 10 rounds too often, but he tends to stand up okay. And I've got a feeling maybe the MMA background comes into it a little bit as well. I mean, you've got to be super fit in the MMA with all the wrestling and holding and all that sort of stuff. So I actually think this one might be line ball. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, mate. He's Hardman's definitely, got a good work ethic, and his training, is really explosive, and the MMA cross with boxing, definitely, I'd say this one is a bit of a tie. I wouldn't say anyone, and Zerafa's known for his hard training as well.
Yep.
But I think this is 50-50 this one. Yeah.
For sure. Last one, mate. We'll make it a quick one. Physical attributes. I was really surprised. I did mention this last week at the press conference when they actually did the face-off. I'm pretty sure Hardman was actually taller than Zerafa, definitely bigger, but I was quite surprised how they measured up. I just had in my head that Zerafa was a lot taller than Hardman, but as I said, I think Hardman might be a fraction taller. We know he's going to be a hell of a lot bigger on the night. He thinks he'll be up to around 87 to 88 kilos, whereas Zerafa will probably be 76, 77. It's a massive advantage on the night, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, mate. It was quite different when they matched up head to head, because I always thought Zerafa was that much taller as well. Yeah.
And I think the physical strength might be in Hardman's advantage as well. But then I suppose you throw in a bit of the speed that we mentioned before with Zerafa. So look, it's an intriguing contest. We'll obviously break it down a little bit more as we get closer to the fight. But just 5 weeks out, Tazzy, who do you think is got the nod at the moment?
What you talking?
Well, at this stage, who do you think's going to win at this stage? 5 weeks out.
I mean, I'm not going to change my opinion 5 weeks to 1 day. I mean, like there's nothing I'm going to hear in training or hear on the grapevine unless I hear something that I'm not meant to hear. That's going to really change my opinion. I mean, look, I respect Hardman as a great fighter, puncher, and I quite like him. I was having a bit of an argument with a friend the other day. I said, mate, he's a good bloke. I know him, and I've been in the change rooms getting my fighters ready on the same night on a few of your shows, and he's a good tough Aussie, and I love that.
Yeah.
He's great for the sport, but boxing knowledge wise, I can't really tip against Zerafa. I think Zerafa's just boxing skill, experience. I think his chin is good enough to take Hardman shots, and I think Zerafa wins on points. I can't really, it's a great fight, but nothing's going to happen now between now and then. It's going to make me change my mind on that. I don't think.
Yeah, no, you're right, mate. It's but look, end of the day,
and the hard thing about me, Lyndon, I want to express this to everyone in Australia. I've been in the game that long that I'm so friendly with so many fighters, and always I've got guys that I get on like that I have great mates of mine, or I get on great with them that always fighting each other. Like it's sort of awkward. You know what I mean? This is another one. I get on very well with Michael. He's a good guy, very respectful. Come to my fundraiser and helped me raise money for the bushfires a couple of years ago. Hardman, been at so many different shows in the same change rooms as him. A gentleman, bit of message back and forth, good luck and all that stuff. Great guy. It's like when people are fighting Mundine, like when Mundine was fighting Ada Hemden or Mundine was fighting Shannon Taylor. These are my old gym mates. Or Daniel Gill. And then when, even Zarapha fought Mundine, and then the whole Tim Tszyu thing, like, I've got that, because I've been in the game so long, I'm on good terms. There's not many people I'm not on good. I mean, I'm not on bad terms of anyone.
Yeah.
So usually I'm sort of quite friendly with a lot of guys, and this is another one.
All right, well, that's Hardman or Zerafa Hardman for this week. Tazzy, we'll move on to the next segment, and I'll get my camera right after I drop my mouse there. All right, have we got a Tazzy's tirade this week, or are we going to move on? You had two last week.
I'd just be trying to pluck something out of the air, mate.
Yeah. Well, we did two last week, so we'll give it a miss this week, eh? It was really good ones last week. Let's get on to...
I still...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, all right, let's just get on to the talking points, mate. We've got 3 again this week, and we'll get into the first one while you're going there. Now, this is about Amir Khan. You can see the heading there. Amir Khan needs to accept it's over and retire. Now, I read this week that he's going to continue on. I know it's hard to get out of your system. We've all been there. It's hard to let go. There's big money involved, but someone needs to pull him and shake him and tell him it is over. Amir Khan, he's getting rocked. He's getting stopped. He's getting knocked down. He's getting, he's not in these fights. What do you reckon? Someone needs to pull him aside and say, Amir, get out. Now's the time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's given his all to the sport. He's been one of the bigger name fighters after capturing the silver medal at the Olympics, and he's won world titles. He was a unified, junior waterweight, super lightweight champion, and his resume is some of the biggest names in boxing. But I mean, it's done now. His resistance to you non-boxing people that don't understand. Sometimes your resistance in your chin goes. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying he had an awesome chin from day one anyway, but even guys that did have a great chin, your resistance goes. Time and time again, the hard sparring, the constant hard hits, it takes its toll. The constant hard fights, constant hits, takes its toll. Yeah. There's times when a hard shot you might have walked through back in the day, all of a sudden you're not walking through it, it buzzes you. My old coach, Jeff Fennick, said it perfectly. He used to walk through guys like Jeff Hardy in sparring when Jeff was a super flyweight, bantamweight, and Jeff was light heavyweight. But then, later on in his career, he sort of started feeling the power of bantamweights in sparring or flyweight. So that's just the way it goes for non-boxing people. Eventually, your resistance goes. Khan cannot take anything at the moment.
And that's the difference, isn't it?
You can blow on him and he'll fall over.
Yeah, that's the difference, I think, with him is that It's not like he's just losing on points every fight, like happens to some legends. They hang on. I mean, he's getting hit with jabs and getting rocked and staggered and wobbled.
100%.
Not good. And look, we went through the similar thing with Roy Jones Jr. Not that Khan's anywhere near Jones's level, but it was a similar thing.
A massive point to my point. Roy Jones Jr. guys. Roy Jones Jr. Even though he didn't get hit as much because he was so technically brilliant. But see, the thing with Roy Jones Jr., Lyndon, Roy used to rely on his speed and his athleticism to get out of punches. If he got hit, he still had a good chin, obviously. But when his speed and his timing went to avoid punches and the constant hits, his chin just went. And when it went, from Tarver to Glenn Johnson to everyone else, to Danny Green.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're gone in this game, you're gone, and it doesn't come back. Yeah. Tyson couldn't get it back. My brother, who I love, Anthony the Man Mundine, couldn't bring it back. Once it goes, it goes.
Yeah.
It goes.
Yeah. And as I said, I know there's big money to be made, and but I think already he's worth $40 or $50 million. So
he's made plenty of money. He's got a lovely family.
Get out.
I hate seeing that hurt fighters.
Exactly. Let's get on to talking point number 2. Anthony Joshua is making a big mistake if he fights Deontay Wilder. Now, there's been a few different opponents thrown around, but I did see this week that Deontay Wilder's name has been thrown up there as a fight to have in between the Usyk fight. I don't know about you, mate, but you talk about playing with fire, and this is it.
I want to see it, and I respect him if he does it. But, a fighter, Wilder, coming off a couple of losses versus a chinny AJ. I mean, I think AJ is a bit chinny. And it's not for him, it's not so much resistance. Some guys who just haven't got great chins. So that's a dangerous fight. I want it to happen, though, Lyndon.
Look, it'd be a great fight to happen, but for what I'm saying is Anthony Joshua, he's got the rematch with Usyk, and whenever that happens, it happens. But I'm sure there's plenty of other fighters out there that you could fight as an interim fight. Deontay Wilder, with all due respect, I think ability-wise, will probably be the least talented, naturally heavyweight champion in history, I think. But he's got this, and all he has to do is land it once, and the fight is over. And I think Joshua might outbox him for 3, 4, 5 rounds. At the end of the day, Wilder, all it's going to take is that one punch. I just think there's way more options than Wilder.
I think Wilder is faster than AJ, and he's likely to land that shot.
Yeah.
AJ...
Eventually.
AJ's a bit slow, a bit more mechanically. He's got decent boxing skills, obviously won an Olympic gold medal, but Wilder's going to land that shot. So
eventually. He's at least going to land 1 or 2. Look at what he did against Fury. Fury pretty much dominated 2 of those fights, the last 2 fights, but he got dropped in the last one twice. But apart from that, dominated the fight. But that's all it took was that 2 punches because he dropped him twice. And it was nearly over.
Even when Wilder was gone, it still felt a punch and hurt Fury. Like I was like to myself, don't stand in front of him, Tyson, because the guy can still hurt you.
Yeah.
To have, Lyndon, a true puncher, some punches are dangerous in the first 3 rounds, then the edge goes off their punches. A true puncher can punch as hard as round 1 than he does in round 12. And that's someone like Wilder.
Yep.
That's dangerous when a guy can hit as hard when he's tired. And if a guy can still knock you out when he's hurt, he's a dangerous guy, mate.
Nah, for sure. Well, if I was him, I know Joe Joyce would be a hard one as well, but I think I'd prefer to fight him than Deontay Wilder between me and you.
Well, it's an All England fight. They probably make more money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
a little bit safer.
Option.
Joyce is probably a better boxer than Wilder, but obviously hasn't got the power. Let's get on to the last point. This is one's been grating on me too. Jermell Charlo, not Jermell in the Tim Tszyu universe. This is Jermell Charlo. In my opinion, Tazzy cannot be taken seriously as a world champion. Now, just let me elaborate. He's got the WBC, or WBO, is it? The middleweight title.
WBC.
He's opted to fight the Polish guy, and I can't remember his name. I had it there before. He's opted to fight him on June 18th on the Showtime schedule we saw before. Had the option to fight in Jaime Munguia, declined to take that fight, and opted to fight a guy that lost a one-sided decision to Demetrius Andrade. So I don't know about you, but come on, you got all these fights out there that you could have, and you take on a guy that was schooled by Andrade, who's not a great boxer in my opinion.
Oh, look, I'll correct you there, Andrade,
whatever. What did I say? Whatever his name is. Yeah.
It might not be a ticket seller. The guy can box. He won a world championship as an amateur as well, and he's won world titles in 2 divisions. The guy can box. I'm not going to say Andrade can't box, but I agree with you about Charlo. I personally don't like the Charlos. I don't like either of them. They can fight. I don't like their bravado or their street fucking shit talking ways. I don't like them. They're both fuckwits. I hope Tim ices his Charlo if he gets a chance, if he beats Castana. And this one, wanted to talk about Canelo, he's not even in the same hemisphere. And like you said, now he ducks Munguia and fights this guy. Mate, Charlos can fight. I'm not going to say they can't fight, but they're both fuckwits. I actually don't like them, and I agree. Mate,
yeah, look,
how can you take this guy serious?
The thing is, too, he's 31 years old. He's been a pro since 2008. The only thing I can think of, I mean, we're talking about legacy, that it should be Munguia. That should be the fight. You know, take the fight on. The only thing I can think of is the fact that maybe Canelo, who said to him after I get through these next 2 fights with Bivol and Triple G, you will be my first fight early next year. It's the only thing I can think. So he might have 1 or 2.
I don't think that's happening.
No, but I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is he's going to have maybe 1, maybe 2 easier sort of fights this year just to cruise through and then get the Canelo fight for the big bucks next year. There is the TV thing that's been brought up, is that apparently De La Hoya or Golden Boy wanted the zone board into it. Showtime.
Yeah, no, I did read that.
That was sort of used as the excuse, but surely we can think of someone more exciting. I mean, we're talking about a guy they're trying to market and probably even build up I know he's got a good profile anyway, but build up his profile even more if he is going to fight Canelo. To put him in with a Polish guy that no one really knows of and got schooled by Andrade, I don't know. I just think it's a bad choice. I'm just sure there could have been some other options out there for him, especially considering he's not fighting until June the 18th. It's not like it's a month away. So,
yeah, well, I mean, who's going to buy that fight?
Yeah, well, no one. It's so anyway. So, in my opinion, Jamal Charlo, or your management, whoever it might be, I can't take you seriously anymore until you start stepping up. And the other thing is, he fought once last year. He fought, I think, once the year before that. So, you know, he needs to get a wriggle on. And 31 years old.
Lyndon, I think it could have even been a better fight if he fought your mate Wade Ryan instead of a fight.
Yeah, probably get more pay-per-views, mate. All right, we've got one more thing to get through to, mate. And I know this is going to sting a little bit for you, but I'd like to make an announcement that the show is technically on the road in June. The International Boxing Hall of Fame inductions, Tassie. Now, this is June 9th to June 12th of this year. I'm happy to announce that I will be going. You were supposed to come, but obviously things have changed. You've got your show on the 11th of June. But look at this. What's happened here, this is the reason why they're calling it a once-in-a-lifetime event. So normally they have an induction once a year of about 6 or 7 people. The last 2 years it's been cancelled because of COVID. So they've put 3 years into one, and you can see the names there. Floyd Mayweather, Shane Mosley, Juan Manuel Marquez, Vitaly Klitschko, I think it is, Roy Jones Jr., James Toney, Miguel Cotto, Andre Ward, Bernard Hopkins. I mean, the list just goes on. The females there, Holly Holm, Christy Martin. I must admit, and Layla Rowley. I must admit, I don't really know too much about the other girls. But, June 9th to 12th, Tassie. So I am going to head over there and fly the flag for Boxing Deep Dive that week, mate. Can't wait. So I'm going to head out on June the 1st. I'm going to get as much footage as I can. I'll be obviously reporting back here on a daily basis, but when it says once in a lifetime, it definitely means it'd be great to go to.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Lyndon. I really appreciate that.
So we've had to scrap the Tim Tszyu event together, and now we're going to have to scrap this one.
I was planning to go, obviously, with you. There's a lifelong dream of mine as well, but I've got a promotion on June 11, which I'm going to announce in a couple of weeks. And what can you do? It's just all about timing, and unfortunately, I've got to be in Tasmania at my promotion. So
well, if you haven't been, and I know not a lot of people have, it's a bit of a bucket list type of thing. But I went back in 2014. I was over there with my family on holidays, and we were in Buffalo, I think it was, and I made the 2 or 3 hour drive across, and I had to go. And if you've been there, you'll know what I'm talking about. You get off the interstate, it's in the middle of absolute nowhere, Canastota it's called. I'm looking around saying, where is this Boxing Hall of Fame? It literally looks like a little house. You go in there, but when you go in and you walk in there, it's like, wow. And you walk out the back, they've got a big pavilion there. They do the inductions. They've got the Fraser Ali Fraser ring that they fought in. That was given to them by Madison Square Garden. I think it was there for 82 years at Madison Square Garden, and now it's there. So I was fortunate the day I went. I was the only one there. It was a weekday or something, and the management or curator, wherever he is there, came out and gave me a personal tour. It was absolutely unbelievable, and if you haven't been there, put it on the bucket list because it's amazing. And I think while we're there, there's a daily, I think they do autograph sessions and sign cards, and they do interviews, and I think there's a fight night as well. There's they do a parade. There's a banquet of champions. So
that's enough now, mate.
Plus
that's
the induction itself. So I hate to rub it in, Tazzy, but I'm really excited about it
anymore, mate. I can't. Just unfortunately, my dates got changed because they changed the venue from April to June, and so.
All good, mate. Well, I think Mike said the other night that he might be going to support one of his friends that are getting in. I can't remember who he said, so might see him over there. But what I plan to do, I'm going to take the camera. I'm going to get over there. I'm going to get as much footage as I can. I can't guarantee I'm going to get interviews and all that sort of stuff, but I'm going to try my best. But, I'll be sending back as much footage as I can, and we'll obviously I'll reporting back as much as I can as far as what's going on. So anyway, if you're looking to get over there and I'm there, make sure you come up and say good day. June 9th to 12th. All right, Tazzy, well, that's it for another show, mate. Hopefully we've got Pete back next week to tackle the quiz. Hopefully he's had a sit down and a cold shower and had a good hard think about things, and he can get back on track.
Well, he just needs to go back to the basics, really. You can't pick and choose like questions. I think your questions cover all bases of boxing: young, old, past, modern day. You chuck in some tricky ones there, and I don't know what he expects. Besides, if he wants them the day before, which wouldn't be fair, it's actually called cheating. Or just accept that I'm the better man.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a hard time doing that.
No man wants to admit that another man's a better man, but in this case,
especially in boxing,
I'm the better man, mate. I'm just on another level. I'm another's hemisphere, and
we'll go again. Hey, just another thing too. Just a reminder too, we're going to be launching a show soon. We've just got a few tests we've got to do. Our live show, which is Talking Boxing, that we're going to be doing pretty soon, and pretty much it's a very, very basic show. It's live. You come on. We put the link up. We pick a topic. We'll have plenty of topics to talk about as well. But if you want to come on, just click the link. Come into a waiting room. We'll bring you in. Have your say. We can debate. We can discuss. We can do whatever. And it's for the fans. And let's face it, in boxing, Tassie, everyone's an expert. We just have to see on the Facebook pages after a show or something's coming up. Everyone's got an opinion. Well, now you're going to have an opportunity to come on and have your say, and we'll discuss it. And who knows, we might even have some fight call-outs, Tassie. If you're a fighter and want to get on there and call someone out, then come on and do that as well.
Always funny when I see someone put a negative comment on on a boxing page on Facebook, and I click on it, it's this big fat guy, with a carton of VB and a meat pie, and I'm thinking, yep, you've you're boxing, mate. But no, it sounds awesome, and then I'm looking forward to that. And in all seriousness, I want to give a shout out to Peter Maniatis, who is a Hall of Fame promoter. Guys like him have kept Victorian boxing going for decades and decades, and he's a champion, and I hope he's well, and I can't wait to see him next week because, without guys like him in Australian boxing, there wouldn't be any boxing, mate. Yeah. He's the oldest promoter currently in Victoria before any of you guys. Yep. So he's paid his dues, mate, and it's all fun and games, Peter. All fun and games.
All right, we'll hopefully see Pete next week back on the show. So thanks again.
Pow, pow, pow.
Pistol Pete. Thanks again, Tazzy. Great show, mate, and we'll see you next week for the classic fights and the dream fights.
See you, Lyndon.
See you, mate.